female joint. We've marked up the joint, and we're going to cut these dovetails out, cut this piece out afterwards. I've put a little bit of oil on the blade of the saw, just a little trick which enables us to stop it sticking. Straight down, lay the wood both sides, same the other side. We've got to do that with all of them. Now the female part we've cut each side. Now with the flat edge of the chisel against the line, just inside, we start to cut down. And then each time we can just cut along the grain. So we just keep working our way down until we remove the whole piece. Of course, with the way you want to turn that over and work from the other side, otherwise you'll have to split it through. So we'll do that. There we go. You can see here how the end is now glued on, ready for planing down finally, and one of our dovetails here fitted. You can see the dove's tail going the male into the female joint there as easily as that. We'll clamp it all together with the base in shortly. Once the pieces are drying, we'll start cutting these tenons. These are the pieces to support the table between the legs. The legs are going to come down here, and we're going to make a tenon and mortise and tenon joint. This is the male joint, which will go 3/4 of an inch into the legs, shoulder it here, so that when we have the leg, I'll show you, so that when we have the leg, that tenon will be coming in here, and this area which it comes into will not split away. So we're now going to cut this shoulder down a bit by half, because there's too much there in the way of thickness to go into this as a tenon joint. So we'll cut this down by half, and we may even mitre this edge so that the two fit together as they come in. So now I have to cut down here and then cut 1/2 off. Okay, we've cut these tenons ready now, and we're now going to cut the female joints into the legs. But to make life easier, rather than just chiseling, which is the old traditional way, we'll make it a bit quicker by drilling the holes first and then chiseling afterwards. I'll show you this. So what I'm going to do now is set a bit of tape on the drill so that I know the depth I need to drill to, but you don't want to go too deep. So if I set some tape here on this drill to this depth, then I know that's my maximum. I don't need to go any further than that. And that'll get rid of nearly all the waste wood straight away, which saves me a lot of work, and if I can save some work I will do, as long as the results are as good at the end. Now the correct and old traditional way to do this, we have the chisel the same width as the female joint we wish to carve out, would be to work our way along both ways, doing shortcuts like this all the way along, and then removing the pieces out. But if we drill in first, we can save doing all of that and then just finish off with the chisel at the end. Gives the same result, but saves us work. Why bother? You can see how much quicker this way is. So what I've got to do now are the 8 female joints, and hopefully the other bits will just slot in. Just got 2 more tenons to do. That's the end of it. Right, we've cut the Also some tenons for the legs. You can see just a couple of them fitted on there, not glued, they're quite tight as they are. Then we've got to fit the crossbars, so we have to measure these across to fit in tenons in the same way. Now when it comes to using a jigsaw and cutting out pieces of wood, in this case we're going to cut out the slot for the drawer to go into at the front panel of the table. This is a much bigger thing than a jigsaw, but very similar. Drill a hole first, and then you can just slot the jigsaw through and carefully watch what you're doing. Voila! Well, the legs and all the parts of the framework are now finished. We've got all our mortises and tenons ready. What I'd like to do now is just take a slight design out of here, as chamfer we call it. Take the edge off here in a curve, because it will look a bit smarter when the whole table put together. And where I've marked here, just come in, and cut my way along there and come in the other way. Same thing. So that they meet. That way they'll meet in the middle. So then just trim it down a bit. Get it nice and neat. It's a nice simple chamfer. Well, the frame is now ready, so all I've got to do is put some blocks in to hold the tabletop on, and then finish the tabletop off and finish the drawer. When we're finishing off the tabletop while the frame dries up, we'll use the electric plane first of all, finish off with the tri-plane, big plane, and then scrape and sand. Nice finish the scraping down. The table surface is almost finished, lots of sanding to do yet, but I thought I'd like to give a little more design sense here, so I'm going to use a router with a moulding blade just on this section on the other side. Another little tip for you is when you've got all the shavings and dust, not only are these oak shavings very good for doing smoked fish, but also save some of the fine dust, sieve it out, because if there are any little cracks or splits in the wood, or even the joints aren't quite as tight as you'd like, then you can just use a bit of this with some PVA glue. That's the white polyvinyl acetate glue, ordinary woodworking glue. Mix it in to a thin paste. You can push that into those little cracks just like plastic wood, and of course, you know, the shavings are going to match the wood you've already got. Okay, the tabletop's drying off, being sanded, and the frame's drying and the drawers are drying. We need some handles for that drawer, so let's go on to the lathe now with a little bit of oak I've had maturing a while from the garden. We'll just split that down to size, because we want it as round as possible. We've made the little drawer knobs, and you've fitted one. Very easy to do. We pilot hole into here so we don't split them. We've already drilled a hole a little bit larger than the screw through there. All I have to do now is simply screw those in. And voila, it's a parfait. It just fits nicely into there.